Hi all, have a good day. I am K. Surya, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of ECE at SNS College of Technology. So in this video, let us see about voltage and current division rules. First we'll see current division rule. So in a parallel circuit, current divides in all branches. Thus, a parallel circuit acts as a current divider. So in the circuit shown here, two resistances R1 and R2 are connected in parallel across a current source IS. So this current IS, when it comes to the point B, it gets split into two currents I1 and I2. So IS is equal to I1 plus I2. So in order to find out the current, we can write as I1 is equal to total current IS into opposite resistance R2 divided by sum of the resistance. So when we want to find out a current in a particular resistor, we can write the total current into opposite resistance divided by sum of the resistance. So when we want to find out the current through resistance 1, opposite resistance is R2. When we want current in R2, then opposite resistance is R1. So the formula is total current into opposite resistance divided by sum of the resistance. Thus, a current division rule states that current through any branch is given by the ratio of opposite branch resistance divided by total resistance multiplied by the total current value. So here is an example. So consider that two resistances 50 and 100 ohms are connected in parallel across a current source of 20 amps. So you have to find out the current flowing through each resistor. So as I said, you can find out using total current 20 into opposite resistance 100 divided by sum of the resistance, which is 50 plus 100. So that gives the current across R1, which is I1. Current across I2 can be found by total current into opposite resistance 50 divided by sum of the resistances 50 plus 100. This is one way of finding the current. The another method of finding the current is we can find out the R equivalent of this, which is R1 in parallel with R2. And if we want to find out the current in R1, we can find it out by using total current into R equivalent divided by corresponding resistance R1. Whereas when you want to find out R2, we can write it as total current 20 into corresponding resistance R2. Total current 20 into equivalent resistance divided by corresponding resistance R2. So that is shown here. So the parallel combination of R1 and R2 is given by 33.33 ohms. So I1 is equal to equivalent resistance RT into total current divided by corresponding resistance R1. So here it is 33.33 divided by 50, which is into 20, which gives you 13.33 amps. Again, when you want to find out I2, the equivalent resistance is 33.33 divided by corresponding resistance is 100 ohms into total current is 20. So which gives I2 is equal to 6.66 amps. So there are two ways for finding out the current. When we use R equivalent, then you have to write it as total current into R equivalent divided by corresponding resistance. And if we use a normal thing, we can write it as total current into opposite resistance divided by sum of the resistances. So any method you can find out. So next one is voltage division. So here the resistors are connected in series. Since the same current flows through each resistor, the voltage drops are proportional to the values of the resistor. So here this shows a voltage divider. So here the voltage we can find out by using total voltage into corresponding resistance divided by sum of the resistances. So if you want to find out voltage across R1, then total voltage into corresponding resistance R1 divided by sum of the resistances. If you want to find out voltage across resistance R2, then total voltage into corresponding resistance R2 divided by sum of the resistances. So voltage division rule states that voltage drop across any resistor in a series circuit is equal to the ratio of that resistance value to the total resistance multiplied by the source voltage. So consider the following example where you are having three resistors 6K, 12K and 18K which are connected in series across a 36 volt supply. So you have to calculate the total resistance, calculate the value of current flowing across the circuit and the voltage drop across each resistor. So here given us total voltage is 36 volts, R1, R2 and R3 are 6, 12 and 18K respectively. So in order to find out the total resistance, R is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3 in a series circuit. So you'll be getting 6 plus 12 plus 18 which is equal to 36 kilo ohms. So if you want to find out the current, then it is total voltage into equivalent resistance. The total voltage is 36 volts and equivalent resistance is 36 K. So you'll be getting 1 milliamps. Next, we want to find out the voltage across each resistance. As we know already, voltage across particular resistance is equal to total voltage into corresponding resistance divided by sum of the resistance. So VR1 is equal to total voltage which is 36 into corresponding resistance value R1 value is 6K divided by sum of the resistances is 36K. So you'll be getting 6 volts. So similarly you can calculate VR2 and VR3 where you'll be getting 12 volts and 18 volts respectively. So VR3 means total voltage into corresponding resistance R3 divided by total resistance. Hope you understood voltage division and current division rules. So let us take up some assessment questions. So if there are three resistors R1, R2 and R3 in series and V is the total voltage and I is the total current, then the voltage across R2 is, yes, you know that the voltage across the corresponding resistance is equal to total voltage into corresponding resistance divided by sum of the voltages. So the answer is V into R2 divided by R1 plus R2 plus R3. Next question is, for a parallel connected resistor R1, R2 and a voltage of V volts, current across the first resistor is given by. As you know that in the current division rule, so the current for a particular resistor can be calculated using total current into opposite resistance divided by sum of the resistance. So here you want to find out the current across the first resistor. So the total current is I into opposite resistance is R2 divided by sum of the resistances R1 plus R2. Why is current division necessary? The options are in series current is the same, in parallel current differs because the voltage is also different because of Kirchhoff's law. As the answer is in a parallel circuit the current will differ. So we need current division rule to find out the current in parallel circuits. Thank you for watching this video.